guys, welcome back to the channel. As you saw in the intro clip, we have our oil pan on. A little Healy coil never hurt anybody, but go figure. It was this one here, but we got it fixed, so it's tight now. And we started putting a little bit of the bling on. Basically, I want to start sealing this thing up as best I can to keep dirt, debris, dust out of it. So that's why we've been in the garage. That's why we essentially pressure wash the floor. We've kept the garage door shut. Want to keep it nice and clean in here. So we got our Keating plate in here. Got our billet freeze plug blocker, the water outlet, our two PDD oil drains, and slowly but surely making progress. So the next step on this old girl, we got to drag the head out of the storage box, and then we got to set the cylinder head on. I also last night did finish up our oil galley plugs too, so we got all this plugged. Hopefully I don't have to grind these flat, but if I do, we'll put the cylinder head on it, keep all the dirt out of there, and yeah, getting there little by little by little. I also welded a bung in the oil pan, didn't forget this time, for oil temperature, so that should be beneficial. And getting her sealed up here. Yeah. Yes, sir. That all the goodies. It's even fire ringed. Shoo. Thread in freeze plugs. Got their race valve springs in it. Should be a unit. As you can see here, definitely a different style retainer. Valves are a lot bigger, but without further ado, I have to get this painted. So I'm gonna get it taped up a little bit. We'll tape off the intake runner, plug all these ports, and let's get some paint on this thing so that way we could set it on there. Okay, time for the moment of truth, guys. We had the weekend, took my kids riding. We got everything taped up, WD-40'd, and there's the final result on the paint. Looking majestic, and just, I mean, hold on. Look at those ports. I tell you, old industrial injection gets down on these cylinder heads here. And again, one of the biggest reasons why we run the industrial injection cylinder head, in my opinion, okay, it's just me testing everything else. What I have found, when you run 4 1/8 bore, okay, so not 4-2-10 bore, 4 1/8 bore, there's not a better cylinder head. Now, if you go bigger than 4 1/8 bore, then it's a different story. But when you run 4 1/8 bore, you guys see valves get pretty close, right? There's your fire ring. Can't go much bigger than that, okay? Cannot go much bigger than that. 36 millimeter valve, biggest valve you can fit in a 6.4, and as I told some of you guys replying to your comments, let me get this out. We'll be utilizing this Kingspeed side shaft. Now, this is essentially a factory shelf that Kingspeed makes, so that way you can port it later. It's got alignment dowels. It's an O-ring seal. Arguably my favorite part about it. Now, I do add a little RTV, not much, just a touch. We're going to have to go through, clean this up. It is a little dirty. It was previously installed. This is, I don't even know how many times I've used this, but it is getting reused and being put on the shelf. So we got to swap it all over. Our head's already drilled for it, and we can get in. The beauty of this, though, is the O-ring, okay? That's why I think this one is superior, in my opinion. Everyone has a different opinion, and that is okay. just like that, boys and girls, it's on. I did do a ragtag polish job, but got everything torqued. I did use Loctite, and then we have our intake taped off to prevent anything. We are waiting on the gasket coating, the head gasket. So I took a little bit of time there. I did try to polish the old stainless T6 fount manifold, and I was unable to. However, I did completely destroy that side. So now we're gonna have to send it out. We're gonna have to send it out regardless, but we'll send these out with our turbo covers. I hope that good buddy Jim is available. If not, I'm gonna have to maybe find somebody local. But we'll get the manifold polished, the 2 turbo covers polished, and then if he has time, maybe I will send my rocker box cover to get polished. We've done polish before, but I really want to kind of do a lot more polished. So I'm thinking black engine, black cylinder head, mostly polished accessories on here. We got the cover, side plate. This is raw, polished Keating stuff, polished side plate here, polished turbos would look pretty sweet. We have polished AC bracket, all that stuff. So all of that is all polished, and I think the icing on the cake would really just be everything else being polished. So our turbo piping, I'm thinking the hot pipe will be black, the hood stacks will be black, the inner stage pipe and intercooler pipe will all be raw stainless, and then we'll clear it. So I think it'll look pretty sick. Just try to do it somewhat clean, make it presentable, and keep chugging along. I'm disappointed on the intake manifold, but we did reach a point where I had to put it on. However, we did uncover one problem, and that is with our new turbo. We've always ran really small covers on this manifold. Unfortunately, our new turbo that goes on the manifold cover is so large that we actually have to swap these studs out and put a spacer in here. So I ordered a 1-inch spacer. Essentially, the turbo will sit about where the end of the studs are and then continue on. So without that, we would have had to clock the turbo cover all the way up and bring our pipe down. This should allow us to spin the cartridge down and run our intercooler pipe down. So I'm glad I did that. We're also, before we send this to good buddy Jim, gonna have to lop these off, enlarge the holes for our new 50mm wastegates. These are currently 45s, and we're stepping up to a 50. I'm gonna have to cut all this off and then re-weld it, which I'm sure is just gonna be an absolute joy to work with, but that's what we got done. Okay guys, it's the next night. We got our head gasket dressing on, and for those of you guys that are curious, it is MR 5923. Big thank you to David and Steve Burton for sending me over the thing, and we had to get it shipped in because I didn't have any. So we have it now. We're going to coat our MLS head gasket on both sides with this dressing. I'm going to make my wife help me set the cylinder head down because I'm getting older, and why not, right? So I'm going to go ahead, lay out our deck plate head studs. We got some more snap rings today from the old eBay here. We had a unfortunate situation in this transmission over here. You guys can see that, but it's see the pump's real tore up in there. Unfortunately, this guy had a crank thrust problem. Converter came back not ballooned, and everything got shoved that way. So we'll get it patched up, get them back up and rolling. We got a fresh coat of that satin black that I've come to like a lot lately, and get it patched out to him. This is the 3rd of the year. We're now in February, and the 4th one is on its way here. So again, for a guy in a little 2-car garage, we're going to be 4 transmissions deep come February. I would anticipate this year is going to be another doozy come summertime, early spring. But I'm going to go ahead and get our head studs prepped. Engine oil on the small side of the threads that go in the block. And then on the fine side, we are going to use ARP lube. It is these Cujos barking in the backyard. It is going to be these ARP 625 14 millimeter deck plate head studs provided to us by Hazley Machine. They are just a thing of beauty. What I love about these over other 14s or 916s is they're actually a little smaller at the top, which makes installing the cylinder head much easier. And I have not had a head gasket problem with 625 14 mil deck plate studs. I have had head gasket problems with other 14 millimeter head studs from other brands, but ARP 625s, pretty sure the only place you can get those is Hazley Machine. Worth their weight in gold. The only other ones I've never had an issue with are like the 916s head studs that like D&J use. When I had an Enforcer a long time ago, those also kept the head clamped down well. So if you want to ball out, the 14 mil 625s are probably more expensive than the 916 studs, but either one get the job done. However, the ones that D&J use are also ARP brands, so stick with what you know works. I'm going to get these all dolled up. And here's our Hazley fire ring gasket, our prepared 625 head studs with optional instructions. You don't need those, so now it's time to uncover this old girl. Get it acetone down, uncover that, acetone down, put our head gasket on, nice and prepped. And my wife just texted me, she's on her way home. So it is time. Cylinder head, meet engine block. guys, so note to self, wife struggles with the cylinder head a little bit, but just for reference, guys, she's only like 125 pounds, if that. So it was a struggle, but luckily she was able to guide me onto the head studs, and we were able to drop her down. If you guys saw there, I don't know what happened. At first, I thought maybe this block was tapped wrong. And to be fair, I did thread a couple head studs in. So I ended up just chasing the threads real quick. And then obviously you guys saw me vacuum the shrapnel out. We got it all down. And if you guys look, like, we freaking nailed that with the head studs. They're all the same height. So again, little panic moment, but not too bad. Again, we used the aviation sealant. We torqued the head studs in 3 steps, and the head is on. So we're going to have another video after this one. It'll be a lot of the accessories, valve train, stuff like that. But I don't want to make these videos super duper long. So you guys saw us set the head on, get the oil pan on this one, and some of the billet accessories have made their way on. I still haven't made up my mind yet on the oil cooler. And in all reality, we have some trans work that came in too, and our truck is still at the wrap shop. So I did touch base with that lady. From everything I've seen, her post, it looks killer. She said she's finishing up the bumper. So she promised a 1-week turnaround time, and it looks like she is going to hit her 1-week turnaround time. Did not change the price. Again, we will unveil the wrap color when we get it back, but I can't get the pumps until the truck's back, until the motor's out. So some of this stuff is going to sit for a little while, and I don't want to lose the momentum on this video. So we may throw some push rods and valve springs, or push rods, rock arms on, check our piston and valve clearance. I'm pretty confident I know where it's going to be at. Should be right around 65 thousandths. Piston and wall going off of protrusion, valve depth, and what we have learned previous engine builds that we've had the same specs. But we will check it, obviously. Always check, never expect. But I see us closing this engine up and kind of setting off to the side. I do have to work on our exhaust manifold. Like I told you guys, I got to cut these wastegate ports off and essentially enlarge them for 2-inch. So the gate opening is going to be about a 1/4 inch larger than it is currently. So I got to work on that. So that way we can get this ready to be polished and get this engine stabbed into the quad cab for our hot retorque, break-in like that. We do have to do the oil primer. I'll do that later as well. So we're just kind of hitting a point on this engine build where I can't really go too much further, and I don't want to start videoing and then a week goes by. So kind of keep them short. We'll probably throw some injectors in it as well, get this thing kind of ready to set in. But turned out killer. I really like the head and block matching. I do like the fact that we kind of left a lot of the stuff raw, like the deck plate raw, and I think it'll look really cool when it's done, especially with like our Exergy dual pumps. Whew. A lot of work that goes into these, but as I've shown, or hopefully show, we'll have a pretty decent engine built in our 2-car garage here. So give this one a big thumbs up. Drop your comments down below. Subscribe if you are not already. And as always, guys, I will catch y'all on the next one.